No, wait. 50
You were 25, 50 years ago. You know, I was thinking you were actually born in the 40s, weren't you? 50s?
Are you serious?
You were born in the... I was wondering if that pitching bat back there is older than you or not.
40.
It's a 49.
49, that's good, Mike.
49. It's about the same.
Dude, I was born in 56.
Like I said, about the same.
Oh.
It don't work though. You work? What are you doing here?
No, I don't know. I just...
what you doing? What is that?
Replaced a bad switch. Upgraded the MPU to lithiums and took alkalines out. I guess what else did we do? I reconned the power driver board.
Oh yeah? Did you reflow solder on all the
No,
chumpies?
I did not.
Why didn't you?
Because it's not needed. There are only a few points that you really have to address that way.
Okay.
If you've got to reflow solder on a board, you should put a new board in it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because you have somebody sitting there too long at a bench.
One old junk.
Unless you pay them nothing. I don't want to argue with the business plan, but it's heading like...
Yeah, well, he's lying.
On here, did you ever see the two trains?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's his business plan there. They're still heading to each other, but eventually they will. Yeah, all right. I don't want to belabor somebody else's poor workmanship and poor business.
I do, but we're not picking on them. We're picking on somebody else.
Well,
we're picking on somebody else this time. Wait till you see. But at any rate, just a quick overview. What do you do to recon a driver
He's
board
a
in
West
these?
Coast burnout. Why would you?
No, yeah, we're coming up on that later. Driver board on Adam's Family.
It's in here.
They're very common to fail at this point, right? You're seeing these fail a lot.
Yeah.
Normally, what'll happen is you'll hit the flippers and the game will reset.
Right.
Isn't that the normal complaint?
That is correct. It's 4 flipper games are more prone to it because there's a lot more current draw at once.
Right.
Multi-ball 4 flipper games. 2 flipper games. If you have one doing that reset, then it's really bad.
Beat.
Yeah, it's really beat. What happens is there are 2 components that are involved. This capacitor BR3 and C3 and BR2. The bridge rectifier is the top one, and this is the filter cap for it. These are your 5-volt supply, and this is your regulator. The regulators don't generally fail.
Okay.
Although they run hot, that's why there's a heat sink around it. Next generation boards like Rod and Dog and a few others that have been coming out with repro boards of this, it's a different type of electronics used. It's a lot more reliable, a lot less current draw. They got away from the power robbing triacs for the GI and such.
Okay.
It's a nicer bet. I don't suggest too many people at home pursue doing repairs to this.
No.
Because it's a time-consuming waste.
For what? Yeah. But at any rate,
because this board is made in 1992. How much more do you want out of it?
Well, why did you recon that board then?
I reconned it because it was a nice example that it had low use by visually. It had low use.
Okay.
Okay. Based on this, the original GI connectors are still there. The natural, they're not replaced. The supply over here is not burnt. It's original. The 15 pin here, or 12 pin J115. So if you look at the board, I mean, it is a nice original. So I did this not because it needed it, just because it's preventative.
So it wasn't hacked up, and it wasn't failing either.
And that's another reason you can attempt repairs on these. If you don't have any evidence of somebody doing previous poor repair by running traces and jumpers all over the place, and because they pulled out tunnels when they tore the component off with a poor soldering iron job. There's a lot of indicators. Visually, you're going to be able to tell, maybe not from this side, but from the other side, or both sides.
Okay, so what was your recon on this? What exactly did you do?
Well, you clean the board, you wash it
Okay.
with soap and hot water.
That's
Oh,
it? That's all you did?
First to prepare it for work so you
Okay.
can see what you're doing.
Good idea.
You know, it's sort of like if you worked on a car engine with all the grease in the way. Why would you want to clean it first before you take things off of it to see what you're doing?
Okay.
People don't clean these boards. They just immediately start soldering on it. Well, there's nicotine and
Can't
dirt
even
on
see.
the board. You can't even see what it is, and the film of dirt on the board is probably semi-conductive to a slight point.
Yeah, yeah.
So you want to clean it first.
Okay.
I use Awesome soap, dollar store Awesome soap, and I literally spray that board front and back till it drips off. Then I take a brush, I like a paintbrush, and then I paintbrush areas to clean it. You can see how shiny and clean
Yeah, it's
this
clean.
is.
Looks new.
And then I rinse it off in hot water. I totally soak the whole board in water, hot water, and front and back.
Okay.
Rinse the soap off, and then you can dry it with air or let it air dry. I like to accelerate my repair by drying it with air. And this absolutely hurts no board component on it. I've been doing it for quite a long time. Forget your thoughts on static considerations, because it doesn't happen. That is a misnomer. That's almost like, I don't know what to say it's like. Oh, cell phones are going to ignite the fuel at the gas pump. You notice they took them fucking
Yeah.
stupid signs off them things, because some asshole had that stupid idea that on a cell phone that the static, or when it answers, you're going to ignite the fumes when you're, just like this stuff.
Yeah.
That is a misnomer. I'll challenge any electronic person to it. It's bullshit.
It's the same guy who reflow soldered.
would have to
Okay, you wash the board.
You would have to skid across this floor on the carpeting in a dry winter day, and you'd have to have a static charge that would damn near kill somebody when you touched them to damage anything on that board.
Skid across the floor. Okay, wash the board. And then what?
That's annoying to me, that point.
I can see that.
Yes, it does. Because when we ship our boards and such that are used just for parts and they're as is, you get comments from people all the time. I see it. It drives me nuts looking at it. You didn't wrap it in static. No, they're all damaged. They're gone. That's total myth. Okay, well anyway, that's what you do first.
Wash it.
The second point you want to deal with on this board is the 5 volts. You want to put a new cap here. It's 15,000 microfarad, and I go to 35 volts, but they're only rated 25.
Okay.
And then this bridge is your output to the 5 volts. And what this does is take the AC and converts it to DC, and then this thing gets a hold of it and regulates the voltage from here down to 5 volts.
How come you don't put on the bridge that stands off 18 miles off the board?
The reason people do that is because they want to get to the top part to fix the trace they tore out. Now there is another thing going on with old boards, by the way, that has nothing to do with how good you are about soldering a bridge rectifier or a capacitor in. First off, these caps are called snap caps, and a large cap like this is offered in a snap cap. What that means in electronics jargon is when you assemble a board with heavy components like a cap like this on it, a lot of times it won't stay in place till you solder because they're heavy. Snap cap has knurled fin. They're like curved S-shaped looking fin. To the positive and negative are S-shaped, so that when you put it in the round hole in the board, they actually stay in there. It snaps in.
Okay.
And then you can solder it without holding the cap in place. And plus, just the action of that snapping in there holds the weight of the capacitor so it doesn't fall off the board with vibrations.
Okay.
Because even though these are radials and the weight's distributed better than an axial cap, because if you've ever seen large axial caps, they're always retained with a cable tie.
Right.
That's why, because they actually physically fall off the board because of the weight and the vibration. But anyway, you want to replace those two components, and the reason that some people tear the tunnels out is they're not careful enough to unsolder and remove all of the solder.
Well, maybe if you're not paying the guy anything to do it.
Yeah, now what I was going to say about the boards is these things age, they thermal cycle. What that means in electronics is it goes through contractions and expansions as it heats up and cools down. Because when this is closed, there's a decent amount of heat in here. These triacs generate heat. That's why they have big aluminum heat sinks on here. This generates heat, so there are parts of this board that actually get warm. and as it gets warm, they expand. And
Warm,
when it
cold,
gets
warm,
cold,
cold, and it destroys itself.
it tears its own traces apart. Well, this heat sink for these bridges, that area gets hot, and what happens is the tunnel that goes from one end of the board to the other, one side to the other, it's actually like a round steel tunnel, and it has traces on each side of the board. Well, the tunnel is connecting the traces, and that's very thin stuff. If it pulls apart, you could actually see the tunnel, you can see the trace, but they don't connect anymore. And you have to get on a meter to find this all out. Now, what some people do is they discreetly make like a little staple, a little U-shaped piece of metal, and they'll put it along with the bridge leg, and they'll just wrap it around and connect it to the solder pads, and then now you've built a new tunnel.
Okay.
But you got to watch. Some of this stuff is starting to do that. And if you change components and you disturb that, you know, you have to
But the benefit of putting a tall one on is,
you can get to the solder point to not even need the tunnel. Because the only thing you need the tunnel for is, all right, the bridge rectifier and capacitor alike, or whatever component it is, IC, could be an IC, who knows. You have a trace on this side of the board, trace on this side of the board, tunnel. You have a leg from the component going through the board to both sides. Well, you'd think soldering this side to the leg would connect the leg on the top side to the pad on the top side. No, because it's in the middle of a circle, it just sits there. You can't get solder to this if the tunnel is broke. The solder will not curl up.
okay.
Okay, you understand? It won't curl
Nope.
up to get to the top part.
Got
Very
it.
hard, that's why people do that.
Okay,
Because you have to manually do that.
got it. What else did you do to this board?
That's it.
Okay.
I checked I pulled all the fuses out before I washed the board, by the way. Because this cleans the fuse holders and gets all the film off and makes sure that you have the same amount of current on one side to the other.
Okay.
Because the misnomer with fuses are you can have current on this side different from this side. That shouldn't be. There's a couple reasons for it. You could have a fuse that's actually going bad, right? Because fuses have tungsten elements like incandescent lamps. They burn out after these don't glow and they don't emit light, but you're still running current.
Yeah, and
They're still burning
and they
away.
do the same thing. The heat and contract. They do that too.
Yeah, but the reason you clean holders and fuses, I just usually wipe the fuse off with a damp cloth with soap on. I don't get them wet because these are not sealed and you can get water inside of them. But anyway,
Okay.
you want to clean that. The board without the fuses on it, and there's a good bit of fuses on this board. They're everywhere. There's probably, I don't know, 15. I haven't counted them. But
Okay.
anyway, 95 WPC 95s are the same architecture, only small fuses.
Right.
They use the little ones. But I made sure the fuse sizes are correct
Sure.
because they're always wrong.
Aren't they?
Yeah, it depends. You know, if the tech that's working on it just doesn't want to buy all the sizes, you need probably 5 different fuse sizes on this board.
Okay.
You need 5 amp slows, 3 amp slows, 3/4 amp fast or slow. You need 8 amp fast and 5 amp slow. So you need a varying number of fuse sizes here.
What about that? What about the cable between the MPU and the?
The little one?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they go bad. They've been on and off so many times. What happens to dual inline pin cables like this? This is a 100 spaced ribbon cable. It looks like there's one ribbon. There's not two. There's one ribbon, but they stagger pins because this is a dual cable. You know, that's got, I think it's a 26 pin, no, 35 pin. These are 26. It's got 35 pins, but they split it. You know, they go back and forth, and that's what happens here. Well, from pulling it on and off, they actually these are 24 gauge wires. They actually break, and the vinyl still holds on.
Yeah, you can't see it's broken.
You know what? I had one the other day at Joe's Twilight Zone. You were there with Jim when we were all up there.
Yeah, that
Remember
machine
the
wasn't
Twilight
working.
Zone with the sound that was just doing the weird
Yeah,
tones?
acting up.
It was this.
It was one of the cables. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this cable.
Okay.
And it was broke right here. No, right here. It wasn't feeding the sound card. It was, if you touched it, you'd lose this flipper.
Nice.
Yeah, and when it was on, I did this, and the flippers were held up on hold with the machine on, and I touched this flipper fell down, and then the sound went all nuts.
Nice.
It was this cable.
Okay, well,
That was hard to find. That was a Chris Hutchins rebuild.
who? Never mind.
That was something he missed, and I don't blame him in a
Yeah.
way because that was very hard to find.
Yeah. Well, if you test it and it goes out working,
You can't own
yeah.
this as long as you live or as long as somebody has it. This stuff needs fixed.
Yeah. No, the pins we do, you know, we warranty them longer than anybody else. But that being said, if you use it or even if you don't use it, failures are pending.
See, the problem with these guys that do this stuff, these high-end shops like that, they don't do what I do in the field. I see all their stuff.
Yeah.
I see it all. They don't see any of what I do because I do all of what they do.
In the field.
Yeah, I live with what they leave. Okay? And that's
Line
why
cords
I'm
that-
ranting
yeah.
on the other people down the road there.
Yeah.
Because I get tired of seeing it. I almost want to punch them in the head. I'm sorry, I get tired of seeing it. They don't understand. They're not out there seeing it.
No, they
they're
don't
not
fix
out
it.
there hearing a customer complain about them all the
They
time.
hang up
I get
on 'em.
tired of hearing them. It's a broken record all the time. I bought this thing from him and you know who.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing it. I said, well, why don't you call him?
Yeah, he won't because he hangs up on me. All right, what else? What else did you just? This Tech Tips is not on this Adams family, but while we're in
Right,
here, a
right.
quick overview. Anything else you did in there? I see it's got the latest Gameroom. I see it's got homeowner changeable lithium batteries.
Right.
I know that we put a brand new display in it. We put color changing LEDs in the topper and high power flashers up there. That covers that section. Wrap this thing up, Ray. We got other things to talk about.
Well, I was working on it. You
Yeah,
interrupted.
you're done. LEDs there, you know, color changing blinker, all LEDs there. Oh, by the way, Ray, the 555, not 555, the 545s and 455s, which are, what are they?
They're incandescent blinkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they available in LEDs?
Yes.
There they are.
Yes. 545s are not made anymore for these machines, which this is one of the ones that had it. And a lot of guys were changing
They changed
these
them over, yeah.
to 44 based, which was a 455 incandescent. But now the answer is
Now it doesn't matter.
no. Now the answer is no. You don't have to do any of that anymore. Just put your
Now those bulbs are
Equivalent LEDs.
those bulbs are not cheap. The blinkers, they're not.
Correct.
They're the LED blinkers, they're not cheap, but we put them in because that's what we do.
well, finish the job. I wasn't going to leave that in there.
Yeah. On down. What else did we do? We got
We
coin.
left this.
We've got
open.
coin taker premiums in the controls to get rid of the ghosts.
We left we left this open for the buyer to mod what he wanted, with the exception of the.
Yeah, the Festers or the Lester or whatever. He's a no-brainer.
But I think some of the people that buy a machine like this don't want to see what you wanted to put on it. They want to see what they want on it.
Okay.
This is probably a standard acceptable mod.
Yeah, everybody wants that.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't really. For and you did the moat thing, which is neat because it's a visual color thing. But
Right.
to go with the TV and the bear,
All that crap.
and whatever, the train and stuff.
I have the decal coming for here.
That's a cosmetic thing.
I have the
it's a
decal
minor-
coming for here.
Okay,
I have an LED bulb out.
I'm referring to the toys. So
Here, hold this camera a second. I'm going to fix that D. Just grab it. Ain't going to hurt nothing. That just bothers me when I see a bulb out. There.
it could be a cold solder joint on the.
No, it's a
it's a lamp socket.
No, it's a 44. It's just an air release.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There, fix that. Oh,
Dude, you're a wire guy.
What did we do here, Ray? Some clodhopper. Some clodhopper had a sticker here,
Yes, he did.
and he fucked the apron up. That thing was fucked up.
That really gets on your nerves, don't it?
So at any
Yeah,
rate,
there's other people that do that other than him, but he's a major offender.
he's a fucking asshole. So at any rate, I had to sandblast all that shit off of there,
Yeah.
and then I painted it black and I put the decals on there, which doesn't look as nice as a
I saved that
good
decal.
original. Yeah, but that looks acceptable. What else did we do to this, Ray? Oh, you're holding the camera. Here, give me that.
Give me that.
All the flippers rebuilt, all of it.
Yes. What Mike means is all of it.
All of it.
We don't just go in the back of the warehouse and get a used part and put on and say, oh, that's new. And then what about all of it?
All of it.
I take the plates off. There's 8 screws, 1/4 inch wood screws that hold the plate on. And then I wash the plates and then I put everything on, even the rubber end stops.
Does this have the correct coils in it?
No. What I do is I use the Pinball Resource Kit.
Uh-huh.
All of it.
Flip 04 in this one?
Correct. No, this is a Flip 06.
Okay.
What I mean by that is I use all of it. I don't just say, well, you know, that looks good, I'll leave that in there at the end of stroke. Or the spring. No, I use the whole kit.
All of it.
Right. That was Jimmy.
Was it? Well, tell him we're busy.
He says,
Isn't it?
just got one of those Playmobil bears on.
He got a bear for our Adams for $8. Okay, whatever. New flipper buttons, Ray. New cabinet switches. All of it. All of it. All of it. All of it.
Correct.
I see a new speaker in there.
Yeah, that was the cone. The rubber cone ring was gone, so we.
Okay. Well, at any rate, this Adams is almost done. Just waiting for them decals
It's not
to come
just
in.
this machine. It's any of these we do.
Yeah.
When you buy a machine from us, you'll get less maintenance headaches because the major offenders are dealt with.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that we get everything, because we don't. We're not God, and we're not.
Well, any machine made by man is not going to be perfect. I don't care if it's brand new, still in the box.
Yeah, and we're not presenting it as being that
The
either.
human interface is the important part. How does who you buy from deal with you?
Yeah.
Do they want you on the phone and you on the other end with your screwdriver? Is that how they're going to? That's the important part. It's not what. There are important parts to doing what you deserve to get, what you're paying for.
Magnet fuses. You did the magnet fuse mod.
There are important parts of that aspect of it, but it's how they deal with you. How do they deal with you? That's the. Is it fair what they're doing when you buy it after they deal with you? That's what it is.
Got it. All right, Ray. I don't know how we ended up at this Adams, but this is Tech Tips 25. What are we doing?
We're doing playfield GI on the trans.
Oh, we're on that taxi still.
The taxi.
Seems like it's been a week since we looked at that. So let's go. Let's go look at that. You ready to look at that?
Been a week.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Time goes by, man. It'll be Christmas. 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. This is not this Sunday. This is not this Friday. This is next Friday.
Yeah.
Today is next Friday.
It'll be Christmas in 2 weeks.
You ever see that movie Next
From
Friday?
Next Friday. Yeah. You know what I watched last night that was funny? And
What's that?
It's a new documentary on Richard Pryor.
Oh, yeah?
It was hilarious.
I'm Not Dead Yet, motherfucker?
No, it was his last one before he died and got MS. But it was after the Sunset Strip. Live on the Sunset Strip was a documentary, and it was a film on him. And then this one's the one after it.
Didn't he do that one that was called I'm Not Dead Yet, motherfucker?
I don't.
That was Richard Pryor.
Yeah, well, he did a couple of audio albums. You know,
Okay.
I had a few of them. I had the Bicentennial Nigger. That was funny.
Uh-oh.
I had the one.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that, right?
No, that's what he made the album.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
what it was called. And the other one was called That Crazy Nigger.
Oh, no.
And,
Ray.
Them albums were funny. I mean, that's when he first got into comedy in the 70s. Watch the documentary. It's fun. It's on Encore.
Okay.
He was a fabulously funny guy. He still is.
And
There
then-
is people that just can't get near him. He used to do that the drunk guy.
I don't know. He's before my time. I mean,
No,
I know
man,
who,
but it's
I know
timeless.
who he is. But
That comedy he did is timeless, man. And they had interviews with all the comedians that used to know him, you know, like, and Merv Griffin, they had interviews, you know, all the people, Johnny Carson, they had, when he was on their shows.
okay.
Then in the comedians he hung out with, like, Gilda Radner, and
Who?
they had a bunch of the old comedians from the 70s. Anyway.
Don Rickles.
Yeah, they had a couple of them type of guys there, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. We haven't. We're not getting to the point here, Ray.
Well, you interrupted me. I was fixing this. I wanted to finish my battery update.
Good.
Because these are still date coded decent. These are
Yeah.
alkalines from 2017.
I'm excited about that.
But I wanted to finish my switch. It had a bad switch.
Okay.
Number 67, and that's the one that's
Yeah, I know where it is.
down in.
It was
nobody
tired.
Wants to,
It was tired.
yeah, nobody wants to.
I'm following you. Ray, I see another Gangbusters. I think we must have every Gangbusters known to man, because there's another one.
I guess they made a lot of them, right?
Yeah, and we have all of them.
Because I did two, and these aren't even the two I did originally. Remember when they were in my home shop?
Yes.
Like forever?
Yes.
And you said they would never get done?
There's well, apparently I was right, because there they are again.
Yeah. It ain't the same two, though.
Look the same to me. Garbage. Okay, what's the story here on this taxi, Ray? What are we doing?
We're going to do GI. We're going to do the GI that it is not changeable
Okay.
from the top, which isn't that many. There's probably another 10 lamps, maybe.
Why are we doing that?
Because this generation of machine that Williams made, you have to go up above here
Get it from
to
the
get
top.
the lamp. This lamp, for example, these two, for example, are near the drop targets.
Yeah.
To change this bulb, you have to really go through agony to get that holder out to change the bulb and put it back underneath the playfield. You can pry out the staples. There are a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
And it's generally hard, and then you're disturbing usually wiring, which is already short. In this case, you won't get that out because look at the wire.
Yeah.
You'd have to hack on that for 10 minutes. And after you're done, don't leave these touch each other because it immediately blows the 8 amp fuse.
So we're getting rid of all that. The wire braid is out of there.
This was done for speed and in cheap.
At assembly, yeah. Bam, 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 bam.
Your new machines,
Don't have that because the operators objected to it.
right, and the ones that still did offered lamps that were changeable from underneath.
Yeah.
In other words, this design was of its day, and that's all there was. Now, when you have the choice to make your new playfield better, then you might want to get rid of this instead of reduplicating this.
Yes.
This
No-brainer.
offers no benefit to have this put back on there. If you're one of these that like restored,
Yeah, well, if you're a purist, you're not putting a CPR playfield in your game anyway.
No, and you're not going to go through. Yeah, right. That's correct. So you won't deal with
Yeah.
this because you're not going to do it.
And you know what? I got something to say to the purists. They can go fuck themselves.
Oh,
How about that?
okay.
They can stick their purist machine up their ass.
Feel some sort of way about that, eh?
I could give a shit. You know what happened when I rebuild these playfields, Ray? And I think I've actually done more of these than you have.
Yeah, you have.
If I see an opportunity to improve something by moving a post, oh my God, he moved a post. I will do it. Because when they designed these things,
is-
Ray,
yeah.
they didn't give a shit how they played. They didn't.
No,
It was industrial equipment, and it was to be out there, be done, and be cheap.
and collect money.
If I can make an improvement on it while I'm building it, without, I'm not talking about radical change.
Sure.
But when I see that they slouched on something, and it's easily fixable, or by moving something a little bit, or adding a guard, or taking a guard away, or whatever, I do it. And if somebody wants to take it back to original, that's on them. I could give a shit.
Well, it's cool. Whatever. It's why it's a hobby. You can do what you want. It's
Yeah.
a coin-op hobby. We're just trying to
Well,
do something different for business.
well, here's a reputation we have, Ray, that you may not know about.
I don't.
We
Do I?
we build the best playing games on the planet.
Okay.
Did you play Jimmy's Elvira last night?
Yes, we did. I
How
had
did
to
it play?
test it. What do you mean how did it play?
How did it play?
Played excellent. All he's got to do is level it, but it wasn't that far off.
How did,
He got the 3 million shot. He stole my Elvira.
that thing
I got the last day, and then he collected it.
thing played great.
I felt about that some way.
Vicious, but great. I mean, I'll dial up. Orbit shots need to land on the flipper in the correct spot. All that stuff that the factory definitely didn't give a shit about. And if you're play testing your game with your balls with your hands, you ain't going to find out any of that.
Well, no, you got to be a player. That's where I trust you to do that because you're a player.
I dial in a
I'm
pin.
not. But I do like to play a game instead of doing that.
Ball hop off the in lanes.
Yeah,
Get that
'cause
shit out of here.
It's not used that way. The machine ain't used with your
Balls with your hands.
your hand throw ball. You got to use the machine to.
So at any rate, what's your game plan here,
What
Ray?
it does is, Mike, it needs skill, not this.
Yeah,
There's no skill in that.
no doubt. I'm putting this on the stand.
Okay.
Pardon these noises. Okay, Ray, what's the game plan?
Well, I guess we'll get some new screws, and you don't want to use old hardware, and there isn't any to use anyway.
You like sixes?
Yeah, short as possible, because you're only holding a lamp on. That's nice.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what else is nice about putting these new lamp sockets in there, Ray?
What?
Is you don't have to take them back out and replace them later because they're shot.
Wow, you think you got me enough?
I don't know, did I?
No, there was some here. I'm good. These are available.
Okay.
Marco, Pinball Resource, such. There are a lot of different styles. The ones you're going to want are the ones with the single tab.
Now that's not identical to the ones that are coming out, because the ones that are coming out are stapled in and they do sit up a little bit further, maybe what, a quarter of an inch further into the playfield.
Right.
So be it. Where did I go?
But the brightness of the bulb is still going to...
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
It'll still diffuse
Yeah.
because this is hanging in the hole. Well, it's hanging halfway in the hole. It's fine. I don't see any problem with it. In fact, these things stick up too far, and half the time they're broke because the ball somehow gets near it and hits it.
Yeah.
If the rubber ring is not right or whatever. I mean, yeah, I've seen plenty of that because the bulb is just asking for it, especially down in the sling area. Anyway, I guess your next thing would be to just go off the sample machine here, and since you have no screw references here, since they staple it,
Right.
you're free to put wherever you want.
Yes, you are.
I would suggest putting it toward one of the legs so that you don't have any problem with any hardware later.
Okay. Well, before you do that, talk to the people about my suggestion versus yours.
Okay. There are two wires that make up general illumination, of course, because it's AC lamp. And even if it was DC, you still need two conductors. One will go to the base of the lamp, which goes to the base of the lamp socket, the shield part. The other is the center element. That's where you solder your wire on, either wire. You've got yellow or white, you know, they color mostly, or you might have green and green-white, you know, they break up colors so you know which GI circuits do what. Some machines control GI. But this is where you have a choice of either soldering, you solder your wire onto the conductor tab, that's one part, that's not changed from original. The other part is soldered onto the other tab, and you can solder it onto this framework part right in the corner here, and then that'll give you your other conductor. Or if you like using these Fastron crimp-on connectors, you can actually use the same mounting screw to go on, and I like using the small ones like Mike has here if you're going to do that, because it places it pretty discreetly so it's not sloppy.
Yes.
And then you can now continue your string on. You trim this and then feed your wire to the next one. And then this is a one-shot deal and you're done.
Yeah. My difference is you're going to have to make up, doing it my way, you have to make up your wiring harness.
Yeah, and you got to be careful with these. The plastic housing is very stiff, and the metal inside is softer, and when you put a wire in this is actually up to 14 gauge wire, and you might be using, I don't know, 18 or 16, something smaller, so it's not going to fill the hole up. If you really want to get close, you could use the red ones, but when you crimp these on, you got to make sure the wire stays in there, because a lot of them will pull out if you don't get it crimped right. And you want to get toward the top of this. I don't know if anybody's ever used these, but they changed them over the years. This plastic used to be a lot softer and it was easier to crimp. It actually almost fights you. You can take it off, but it's really hard. But I like to just solder them on, because while I got the solder on off, I'm doing this, I might as well solder that.
Okay.
I put it discreetly in the corner here so that it doesn't interfere with the screw. There's plenty of room.
Well, there's a benefit to doing it my way, and there's a benefit to doing it your way.
Yeah, if you don't like to solder, you're going to want to do this, but you're still going to have to solder. You're not
Yes.
getting away from it, but at least you're cutting it down 50%.
Yeah, and you're not
the
soldering
housing,
on that big housing.
The housing is hard to solder on, and if you're no good soldering flipper coil wire, which is heavy, and heating up that big lug on the flipper coil, don't do this, because this is as hard as that. This is easy because it's very small. It heats and sticks easy.
But
So-
the flip side of that is, you can go ahead and mount all of those bulb sockets, and then you don't have to pre-do the wiring harness.
No, I don't.
You'll make it as you go along.
Right.
Which is probably so it's a coin flip.
There is a choice for doing either one, whatever you're comfortable with. I like the looks of this. It's nice because it's small and it's easy to crimp on. Of course, now you could also use a plug on one of these onto here, because
Yeah.
this is the same width. But I just don't care much for those.
Yeah, but now you're asking for stuff to fall off, because that's
Well, you know what? The last years of Williams,
they did it.
yeah, they did it to coils, and they fall off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 1 and Revenge from Mars, they started doing that on the coils. And they fall off and get loose. Actually, get loose is worse than falling off.
Okay.
Anyway, you get your screw in place.
What do I got the gun on there? 2 maybe?
Yeah.
2 probably won't go all the way down, but in fact 2
No,
I'm pretty sure
probably
it won't.
won't.
Hard wood, huh?
Yeah. Takes 4 to go.
Okay.
And then you can line your socket up if you get it a little off, because they are flexible. But that's what you're going to have. And then,
Okay. Why did you pick that one to do first? And I know the answer, but I'm asking for so that everybody else can know.
This one?
Uh-huh.
No reason.
Oh, guess there is.
I started with what I see. I didn't actually start from the top.
Don't matter. You started at the end of a string.
Yeah. True. You want to probably start at the end of the string and
Yes.
follow it all the way down.
Yep.
And all the way down to where you see where the beginning of it is. And
Yeah.
then that's where you'll see your feet from your GI.
Yes.
And then you can do one section at a time and separate it. Some of these games in the track mode, they have relays that switch them on and off.
This is one of them.
This is why you do this.
Jimmy's was worse because Jimmy separated the left,
Left
from
and
the
right, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good. You've done a lot of these, so you know what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
With it. Yeah, it's cool. This is some area that I don't get into. I don't do this in the field.
You don't do playfield swaps in people's houses?
You've done more in here. I think I've only actually done partial. I finished up one Gary started on the Centaur, and I what else did I do? I did
You finished the checkpoint.
okay, that was one he started. And then did I do anything on the Gorgar? No.
You
Flash? No,
we
not
didn't
Flash.
do Gorgar or Flash. You and me together.
Firepower.
Yeah, you didn't do the fire. I did the firepower by myself.
Okay, and you did the medieval.
I did the medieval by myself.
So really, I only did
You and me worked together on the NFL. We did that one together. for
Oh,
some
that's
reason.
right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Uh,
There's so many of them that were done. I don't.
You did very little on Jim's Elvira.
No, I didn't
You
do anything on
You didn't
playfield. I did
do
coils.
very little.
I did the cabinet.
You did
my job was
you did the connectors.
my job was cabinet. But yeah, okay. But My job in it was cabinet and putting all the boards and wiring harness and all the things that go into the cabinet. Coin door and such, everything, the whole cabinet, that's what I did. Right down to the back box lot. That was interesting.
So anyway, just to get to the point of this week's tech tips, you're going to follow that string. Go ahead and walk through exactly what our process is here to completion of this step.
Well, you're gonna...
And it's nice that we have a model here. And of course, it doesn't matter. We're looking, I guess, at the scrap playfield we have, but it doesn't matter. You can do this with the playfield that you're going to be stripping.
Yeah. You follow your pair of wires all the way down, and you'll get to the next lamp. Then you'll get to the next lamp, which is here. There's 3. Then this wire takes a hike and goes around the switch, comes back to the other pair, which is here. This is the same pair. And then it has no lamps in between it, but it does go down to another lamp here, so that's number 4. And then you'll see it being fed here to another lamp, which they actually did make changeable for some reason. So that'll be the next lamp in the step, and then this goes around the switch again and comes down to main GI, and this is your feed for that.
There's your
circuit,
feed line, okay.
which is yellow. It's doubled because it goes somewhere else. It's yellow and yellow-white. Your GI circuits on most pins, even WPCs, are standardized. They kept the 2-color system, the white and yellow-white, green, yellow-green, purple, yellow, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Sometimes they'll add one like brown, you know, or but they kept the same type of scenario from the mid-'80s probably, or late '80s all the way to the '90s. somewhere.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're going to follow that feed from feed, or from end to feed, or from feed to end, and then you're going to wire that section.
Right. And it looks like it doesn't end until, because it's going across here.
But that's a different feed line, isn't it? Or is it?
Let me see.
I mean, it's the same incoming, but it's...
It is, yeah, that's where it stops.
How many feed lines are you going to have for this thing?
You
3?
know?
2? 3?
Yeah, probably just 3. You got yellow, yellow, white, and you got purple and purple, white. This is a GI.
That's your other feed.
And I think, I guess there's only 2.
Probably only 2.
I don't see, where is, yeah, this is the same thing, purple and purple, white. Yeah, they don't have any other ones, Mike. That's it, just 2.
Okay.
So there are 2 strings on this.
Well, Ray, I need to take a break. So let's take a break here. We'll come back and maybe we'll show the end of this job, and that'll be the end of this week's thing. How do you feel about that? Let's take a break.